to AI Biz, the podcast where we decode how artificial intelligence is transforming real business decisions. Now, today's guest doesn't just solve problems, listeners. He redesigns systems with over 23 years leading in Sevilla, advising leadership teams, now building software and also developing an AI powered SaaS that captures decades of strategic frameworks. He's on a mission to bring clarity where others see complexity. He's not just building products, he is architecting velocity for ideas, uncovering what's hidden inside the noise of business data and customer behavior. So, in this episode, we'll be diving into how AI can actually give us a window into the mind of our audience, not just their behaviors, but their unspoken needs, unseen constraints, and even untapped leverage points. So, let's welcome our guest, Andy Halko. Andy, welcome to the show, and I'm really, really excited to have you here with us.
I'm excited as well. I can't wait to get into the conversation and really dig in and talk some fun AI and other stuff.
I know. It's going to be really, really fun and wonderful. So, Andy, to begin with, AI models today they give us rich behavioral data, but can they truly see inside of of the mind of a customer? I mean, how exactly is that possible? Or is it just like, putting up some cognitive patterns and algorithm into the algorithms and interpreting those patterns or, behaviors based upon search or clicks? I mean, how is it?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. And I think that no AI is going to 100% mirror, but we do have the capability of really training these models to be intelligent, um, about a greater breadth than we have today. I think a lot of organizations will use personas and they'll use some data that they get from customers to try and create profiles and understand behavior, but it's very flat. It's very static and unengaging. And AI has really opened up the capability of going deeper into who our audiences are and their behaviors. It can replicate some of the chaos that is naturally human in the way that we think, that it's not always linear. AI can be trained to be some of that chaos that is natural. And then the biggest is it allows us to interact. Um, because flat data tells one story, but a conversation tells a completely different story. And so I think that it's going to continue to evolve where um, these behavior profiles are going to mimic and mirror your target audience much more accurately. But even today, they are 10 times more effective and valuable when AI is leveraged to really replicate and clone these, target buyers and their behavior intent.
Okay, that is quite interesting. Um, so for example, I want to start a specific company with a specific product into, let's say, a beauty industry. Um, so then, how can I leverage this um, product or your platform to understand my ICP or the target audience, their behavior, their buying patterns.
Yeah. So if you're starting a business, this is the best time to become more familiar with the customer. And I think one of the challenges that we have is that people assume that they know their buyer. You're starting a beauty business, maybe you consider yourself a reflection of who your customer is, or you've interacted with those folks in the past. And there's a lot of bias behind that, it is limited to a certain view. It's often uh, people that we interact with and we have good relationships with. And so the information and the interactions that we have with them are very specific and related to the piece that we do have a relationship. And so one of the big things that we want to do is one, first, look at the entire field of our audience. Who are all the different ICPs that we could reach, and then take a logical and structured approach to prioritizing them and determining who is the best ultimate customer to grow my business. And so, one of the things that we've done in our consulting and we put in our platform is a process that helps you logically evaluate and prioritize who is the best customer that you should be going after. And when you're early in a business, that's so important because you don't want to waste effort where it's not going to be effective. You have limited time, limited money, and so you have to be as effective as possible. So choosing the right ICP is the very first step to being, um, you know, to taking your business further. The next is understanding them. And it gets back to what I was saying earlier is that buyers are complex. And so doing research, what we've done with our platform is make it easy for anyone that it connects to a wide range of different sources of data. It uses AI to unearth pains and challenges and buying factors, motivations, more than just these surface level pieces of 30% female, 60% male, or here's an age range. What we want to unearth, what we want to pull in is uh, mindsets, emotions, drivers, what is keeping people up at night, or you know, what is it that they're really trying to accomplish? We're trying to create a real human with emotions and thoughts and what really is inside their head, and often things that we never hear or see, even if we have a relationship with them. And so it's really about leveraging AI and data sources to pull in information that I'll say is unbiased. That, if you're doing it on your own and you're saying, this is what I know about this customer that I talked to, or this friend that encouraged me to start the business, that's very biased information. It's information that is through a filter. And so what we really want to do is pull out unbiased information.
Got it. But no, that's absolutely a kind of gray area when it comes to understanding our customers. I believe this is so essential for the early founders and new entrepreneurs, specifically when they are actually trying to understand the pain points, because sometimes it is like we come up with products or solutions which there are not even for which even the problems aren't even existing. So it is very, very essential to first understand whether there is an underlying problem for which my product or service or solution can solve the pain point or the problem in there. And also, Andy, many leaders they assume more data equals better decisions, but this is something I really like. You say that it's really about clarity. So, how does your AI framework cut through data overload and help companies focus on what actually moves the needle?
Yeah, I think, this is the great power of AI, is that you're able to take a lot of data. You look at any AI and it's really billions of data points. But when you ask it something specific, it is giving you back an answer, despite an underlying ocean of information and data. It's giving you back something very specific. And so I think one of the challenges for a lot of folks in the past has been data overload. We've got analytics in our systems that talk about open rates and clicks. We have, information from our CRM about interactions that we've had with different prospects. We've got data that our marketing team pulled together from some sort of source where they've created a report. We've got a third party that has produced an industry report for us. And we're sitting there with all these pieces of information, and it's really hard to wrap your head around what does that mean and how do these things fit together. But AI has allowed us to capture these different data points, put them in an underlying framework, and then you can ask specific questions. So in our platform, you can say, I'm trying to sell this beauty product uh, to this audience. What would they most resonate with? And it gives you back a specific answer that leverages a lot of that underlying data, but helps you, really pinpoint the thing that you're trying to accomplish. And so I think clarity is now more about not focusing on the data, but just focusing on, what is the question that you have and the answer that you want from it. And so we really have now with AI this game-changing ability to not be overwhelmed with data to the point that, we're not even able to take action or make any decisions because it just doesn't make sense to us.
Hmm. No, that definitely makes sense. That definitely makes sense. Um, and this is a key pain point because people are drowning in metrics but starving for insight. And also, Andy, a bit of a you know kind of observation based question. I mean, you have built SaaS products, you have advised CEOs, you have led complex teams. Um, what mistakes do you see businesses make when they try to inject AI into understanding their audiences?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that I see is just there's several biases, and we I talk about I have a book, the Buyer-Centric Operating System, and I talk about the four forces that pull you away from understanding and focusing on your buyer. Because to me, the most effective companies really understand who they're selling to, who they want to influence, who they want to engage, and then they build everything around it. They build products that are really focused on their needs. They build marketing that really resonates with that message, sales, etc. And so the biggest thing that I see in these organizations, in the four forces is one, uh, this organizational gravity where you've got committees and red tape, and all of a sudden a campaign is created for marketing. But once you get five people in your organization to look at it, by the end, it is not resonating with your target audience because so many people have had their hands in the process and their own motivations about their position or their job. You've got, natural bias where folks are really focusing on what they know or the interactions that they've had with specific customers. And so they start changing their products or they change their marketing to the latest or most loudest conversation that they've had. And so what I typically see is that just inherently in every organization, there are these things that happen that pull us away from our target audience.
Mhm.
And the further that we get from them, the less effective we are in delivering products that become sticky, that they stay with, delivering marketing that actually influences and pulls people in and builds trust, and sales that moves people through the process with momentum. The further we are away from our audiences, the less effective all of that will be.
Mm, I agree. I agree. I agree. And it's absolutely necessary to help founders and leaders avoid the uh, trends and hype traps and focus on the foundational systems, and thinking that you advocate for. So also a bit of a flip uh, you know perspective on this. Uh,
Yeah.
isn't there a danger that AI generated customer insights, this simply reinforce existing assumptions, essentially giving leaders more sophisticated echo chambers rather than genuine discovery?
Yeah, it's an interesting thought, and I think there's always the risk of that. But our goal, and one of the things that we've done with our platform, is really try and remove that bias and echo chamber. Is that underlying the data that we unearth, the way that we've constructed our AI training, even the way that we have taught uh, our what we call twins. We've moved from the idea of personas to twins. That it is really about training the model to think from their perspective, and so we have really tried to remove that bias and that echo chamber, but it's always at risk. I think that's one of the challenges because we naturally want that. We as humans naturally wanna hear our thoughts and our beliefs echoed back to us. And so even, it's a big thing, confirmation bias is that we may get 5 data points, but the one that we believe in is the one that we already thought was the right answer. Um, and so I think that the system actually does help us move away from that. But there's just this natural pull for us to want to have somewhat of an echo chamber. And so it's always a risk, but I would much rather have an AI that has the capability of looking at different points, has the capability of being trained to respond without bias. Um, in the mix than us only using our confirmation bias from the beginning.
Mm. Yes. That's I agree with you. I agree with you. So, Andy, before we wrap up this insightful conversation, if our listeners they would like to connect with you, get a hold of the platform that you are building, and also your book, what would be the best route?
You can go to andyhalko.com and there's links to all of it. The book is there available on Amazon, the Buyer-Centric Operating System. Our platform for creating clones of your target audience is BuyerTwin.com. And then you can learn more about, some of the classes and training that we have all around how do you make your organization centrally focused on your audience, and become more effective across all of your channels.
That's wonderful. I'll make sure to have all the links in the show notes for our listeners. And that was listeners Andy Halko for you, helping us understand not just the tech, but the thinking behind how AI can transform audience understanding at the system level. So, a big thank you to you, Andy. This was such an eye opening conversation. Until now, we have been thinking of AI as a tool for automation, but this really opened my perspective as well in terms of how it can become a lens, helping us to um, see the unseen or maybe challenge the assumptions, and also unlock new ways of strategic clarity.
Yeah, I agree, and I appreciate you having me on, and excited to, hopefully connect with more folks and talk about this again.
Absolutely, Andy. Absolutely. And to all the listeners out there, if you are building, scaling, or simply want sharper insight into your market, this episode is a blueprint worth revisiting. Do make sure to check out BuyerTwin, connect with Andy, get a hold of his resources and his book. And until next time, I urge all of you to stay curious, stay data informed, and as always, stay human. This is AI Biz, and this is your host, Sana, signing off. Thank you.